All right, folks, I think this means we're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Allie Reith. I am the Farmer Relations Manager here at American Dairy Association. We are so proud to work for our 800 Indiana dairy farmers in the state. They range everywhere from northern Indiana up in the top corner down to the southern point of the boot down in Evansville. But this morning, I guess this afternoon now, we are headed to see Deb Haynes and her family at Superior Dairy up in Garrett, Indiana. We are on Facebook Live right now, but we are also streaming on our website, which is winnersdrinkmilk.com/virtual-farm-tour. The full-length video of this tour will be available on our website as well as our Facebook and YouTube channels after the tour. We're just so excited to be with Deb and her family here today. So we are going to go ahead and kick off this tour. Deb, take it away.
Thank you, Allie, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Superior Dairy Farm, located in Garrett, Indiana, where our mission is to provide you, the consumer, with the highest quality of milk and dairy products available, while instilling a positive impact on our cows, our business, and our community. We are a 7th generation dairy farm, and we are looking on moving to our 8th generation here at Superior Dairy. We are family owned and operated. We are owned and operated by 7 members. We currently are milking 227 cows on 4 Lely robots. We are located, like I said, in Northeast Indiana in a small town, Garrett. We are a closed herd, which just means that we raise all of our own calves from birth until they're ready to come back and milk in the barn. The calves make a journey from different barns to be due to the fact that they have different feed needs. So we supply those different needs as they continue to grow until they're ready to have their first calf and brought back to the barn to be milked. Now, so let's kind of get started a little bit. The first thing we need to realize is that in order for good cows to milk and give us good quality milk, we have to have a nutritionist and we have to have good quality feed. Our nutritionist makes a total mixed ration. You're going to hear me refer to that as a TMR, which really only means it's a recipe of different ingredients that we put together so that it provides our cows with a good solid feed. I'm going to show you some of the feed that we use today in our total mixed ration, our TMR. We have an alfalfa baleage here, and that's usually a 22 to 24% moisture, or protein, I'm sorry. So that goes in, but that's our protein. We have an energy mix of corn silage, and corn silage is the full stalk of corn with the ear on it that we harvest in the fall. And we put those in big silo bags, and it's like a big Ziploc so that the air does not get in and spoil it, and it can ferment. We also have ground corn for energy. Here we have our vitamins and minerals. Just like you take vitamins every day, our cows have to have vitamins and minerals. And that is actually a Hoover feed mix that we have made of all the ingredients together, kind of just compressed, but that's also a protein. And then we have our bean meal, which is another protein. Our cows get lots of protein in their diet. So once we get the right dosages of energy and protein, we come out here and we put everything in the mixer. You're going to see a round bale of high moisture alfalfa baleage, and that is what is put into the mixer. And all the mixer is a big tub, and inside of that tub, I'll give you just a second here. And
Deb, while we're getting ready to look at that mixer, do you guys grow all the food on your farm, or do you have to get some of it from surrounding areas too?
The only thing that we do not grow on our farm would be the Hoover mix, and that's your vitamins and minerals. That trucked in. Okay. Did you get that? We trucked that in.
Yep, that
Hoover
sounds
mix.
great. We got
Okay.
some good local food for our cows up there.
That is right. So once they get the feed, oh, and the mixer, when it comes in the barn, you saw an arm down on the mixer. That arm is what it has a little conveyor on it, and that is what dumps it on each side of the barn for the cows to eat. Now I also have when we built the barn, we thought about all the cow comfort and how are we going to keep that food right up next to them. We're going to have a Juno, which all Juno does is every hour goes up and down the barn in the feed alley here and pushes that feed up to the cows so that the cows are not without feed. It just ran not too long ago, so if it starts running again, then we will take a break and come out and look at that Juno running up, doing its job. But every hour it goes through the barn, pushes the feed up. We got to keep feed in front of our girls to make them healthy and happy. Now, if you notice, cows like routine. They like to be able to be milked whenever they can. They like free choice of food, free choice of water. So with our smart barn, that's kind of what we've done. We've just given them a free choice of whatever they want to do. And they're kind of nosy little animals. They're coming up to see what's going on. Also in our smart barn, you will notice there's fans. We have 36 fans throughout the barn so that keeps the cows cool in the summertime. If you have a lot of positive air, then you don't have flies. And that is the biggest thing we've noticed from coming from a parlor into the robot room. We don't have flies at the barn. There is a water sprinkler system here that when the barn reaches 70 degrees, it will put a mist of water on the cow's back to keep them cool if they choose to come up and get underneath it. When we first started that, they didn't like it so much, but boy, let me tell you, by the end of summer, they're all standing underneath that to keep cool. Also in our smart barn, we have side curtains. Obviously, they're open today because of the nice sunshine and the warm temperature that we have. But if it gets too hot, they'll dry, or they open up. Too cold, and they start to close up. At 40 degrees is when they open up, and they will only open up as they need to keep that barn at that 40 degrees. Cows like it between 45 and 65 degrees. So this is the optimum, perfect weather for them.
I think we're all happy to see the sunshine. I know there's people from Brownsburg on watching today. We got people at DeMott Elementary, all the way from Chesapeake, Virginia, the Girl Scouts of the Colonial Coast. We're so glad to see you guys hop on.
Nice.
William McKinley Elementary in Indianapolis, and many, many more. So lots of different temperatures and weather patterns that are watching in today. So it's great to know that the barn can adapt for all of those different climates for the cows.
Right. Now, if you notice, also in our smart barn, we have these handy dandy little headlocks. And when a cow puts her head through it, and they only lock when we allow them to lock. So when we have the vet come every 2 weeks to do a herd check to make sure that our cows are staying healthy, we will activate the headlocks. The cows will come in, lock in. The vet can do his job in checking each and every cow. And then we just release a bar, and that releases all the cows to go out. But that also keeps the vet at a safe distance away from the cows so that nobody gets upset with him. But like I said, the vet comes every 2 weeks. So do we have any questions yet, Allie?
We haven't gotten any specific questions yet, but we do have folks from Arlington Elementary up in your area. We also have another Girl Scout from Staunton, Indiana. So excited to see everybody on the video today. Please feel free to drop the questions in the comments here on the live video, and Deb will be able to answer those live for you.
Okay, right now is a perfect time. We have in our smart barn, we also have alley scrapers. Those alley scrapers go every hour to clean the manure from the alleyways. And the cows are used to them. They just step right over them. But you know, if cows have to use the restroom because they eat, they drink. So therefore we got to keep them clean too.
Great, Deb, we do have some questions that came in. How much feed do each of the cows eat each day?
That is an awesome question. And on the average, a cow will eat 105 pounds of feed a day. And we are feeding 8,300 pounds of feed in the morning and then again in the evening.
That's a lot of feed. It's great that you can grow so much of it so close to your home. And another question is, how many cows do you have on your farm?
Right now, we are currently milking in this barn 226. We have several that are dried off, getting ready to have their babies. A cow will milk 305 days, and then 60 days of that time, they get to go on an extended vacation while they have their babies, right before they have their baby, and they come back to the barn. I'm going to show you real quick. There goes that alley scraper. I'm going to show you real quick when a cow first comes into the barn after having a baby her first time. She will be put in the back pen, and we'll give her a big vitamin to get her started real good. And then she'll come through the robot. And these are only the cows that are first have their babies, but they automatically, they know that they will come down this hallway and they will go into this back pen, and this is where they stay for about 7 to 10 days, depending on how they're milking and stuff. So we keep an extra close eye on them right here.
And how many babies are you guys expecting to have each year? Or how many do you have, I guess, in a month?
How many do we have in a month? That's a great question. Right now, I have about 30 heifer calves at home that we've had, and we still have about 10 more to go this month yet before we start the next month.
Great.
Now, a heifer calf is a female calf, a girl. Mm-hmm. So we keep all of our heifer calves. We keep all of our bull calves. The bull calves are the ones that we will sell to the market for feed later on.
McKinley wants to know if you have a favorite cow.
Do I have a favorite cow? I do. She's on the other side of the barn. We don't name our cows, but we have a number. And I have to say 306 is my favorite. She just sees me come in the morning, or in the afternoon also, and she's usually right there to greet me. I'll see if we can find her during our tour.
So when they have the numbers on their ears, how do you put those in, and what are the earrings on their ears for?
Okay, the earrings on their ears do not match the numbers on their collars. The earrings on their ear are just when they were born, and that's a quick reference for us to look at that number. We can type that number in before they calve, and that'll tell us who their father and sire, or who their dam is, mother. So that's just a quick reference for us to write down, because we don't know the number of the cows before they get to the barn. What collar number? If you notice here, number 56, they have a collar. I will show you a collar in the barn, in the robot room in a few minutes. But each cow has its own collar, and on the left side of that collar is a box. And all that box is, it tells me how many steps they take a day, how many times they're chewing their cud, if they get sick or anything, if they go off milk, that'll give me all this data to help make me a better manager and our family better managers of the cows. We have 6 different social areas in the barn, and this is one of them, the watering. Did you know that cows drink 30 to 50 gallons of water a day? That's a bathtub size of water. Just I can't put that into my own mind to drink that much. I have a hard time drinking 1 gallon of water a day. I bet you guys do too.
Absolutely.
So also,
the cows are a little bit bigger than we are, but about how big are they when they're born, and then how big are they when they are fully grown?
okay, when the calves are born, they weigh anywhere from 80 to 125 pounds. And then they grow into, it just depends how much they eat and how old they get. But typically they're about a 1,500 pound cow.
Holy cow.
So they're pretty big animals, but you know, we can walk around in here and they continue to lay. We're not bothering them one bit. They like us and they're happy cows. If you notice up here, we also have this little thing that the cows get to play with. This is an automatic brush that what happens is, and we may see a cow underneath this, a cow would walk underneath this and push it and it automatically kicks in and it will give her a back massage at her spa. Who wouldn't like one of those?
That's
and then
nice.
Who wouldn't like laying on the beach? Our cows are bedded with sand. They go through and they groom the sand once a week, and about every 2 weeks we go through and we put fresh sand down for them. And yes, we do have one brown Swiss. She's a big girl, but other than her, actually we have 2. The other one is on vacation right now, and that's the only 2. Other than that, we are 100% Holstein.
We have a couple of folks have asked how often that the cows have a baby, and if you guys have any babies on the farm right now.
Okay, I do not have any babies at this farm right now because of the fact that when a baby is born, some mommies are not the best mommies, and we want to get the colostrum into those calves right away. So therefore, in that rotation that they make, it's a whole different feeding process where the babies are at. So we feed them for probably about 3 weeks on a big baby bottle, and then they go to a pan, and they're on that pan till they're about anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks old, depending on how well they're growing. In the wintertime, they don't grow as fast because it's a little cooler. So we keep them on milk a little longer.
And Owen at DeMott Elementary wants to know, how old do the cows get?
That's a great question, Owen. My oldest cow in the barn will be 11 years old this fall, and she is on her 8th milking lactation, which means she's had 8 baby calves.
That's amazing. And how do the cows get to go outside, or do they stay inside all the time?
These cows get to stay inside all the time. They don't get rained on. They don't get snowed on. They don't get the big hot sun in the summertime beating on them, because why would you when you got water and sand and fans to keep you cool? And also, I wanted to take a chance and look at their feet, because not only do we have the vet come in and we have the nutritionists here to help us with our food, all these girls have to have good feet. So we have a hoof trimmer that comes once a month and looks at the cow's feet and makes sure that they're all in good order and they get a pedicure at that time. because a good healthy feet is a good foundation for a cow.
So it sounds like they get to basically live at a spa. If they're on the beach all the time, they get pedicures all the time. It's a nice barn you guys got there.
Yeah, they're pretty spoiled girls.
Sarah wants to know if cows could ever have twins or triplets.
Hey, we just had a brand new set of twins last night. It's very rare for the cows to have a set of twins. We may have about 5, 6, 7 sets a year, but we really don't have a lot of them. I have never, and I've been involved with the farm for 37 years, seen a set of triplets yet. So that's really, really rare. But yep, we just had a set of twins last night.
Very cool. Aaron would like to know if you guys like to pet your cows.
If they'll come up to us, we sure will. There's a few that when it comes time in the afternoon, they know to come up for a head scratching. But since we're not typically in the barn this time of day, then they're kind of out of their routine wondering what we're doing in here, because we're only typically in the barn in the morning and then in the evening. So therefore, they're kind of quiet and by themselves all day. If you've noticed, we don't have any mooing going on because we're a quiet barn and we're happy cows. If you hear mooing going on in our barn, you better go find out what's going on.
That's good to know. I would think that if you're in the barn all the time, you always hear cows mooing, but if you want them to be nice and calm and quiet, that's awesome.
Yes, and this is one thing that we noticed when we moved in here was how calm the cows got when they got to choose what they wanted to do, when they wanted to feed, when they wanted to milk. Now, we're going to take this opportunity to step inside the robot rooms. And got to move here a minute. I got a cow coming out, just a second.
So we do have another question for Isaac. Okay. What happens when the cow gets sick?
Great question. With the robots, we can tell when a cow gets sick a lot sooner than we could before, because she'll go off a feed or her fat protein ratio will be different. So at that point, we go to her, we find her, we analyze and look at her and see what we think's wrong with her. We check her for different things. And then if we can't figure it out, then we call the vet in and have the vet come look at her. Because sometimes it's just something real minor, like they might have just gotten something in their feed that didn't agree with their tummy and they had an upset tummy for that day. But we don't use a lot of antibiotics. If you get sick and have to go to the doctor, you get an antibiotic. And so we try not to give our cows antibiotics at all.
And Sarah wants to know if you guys ride on the cows.
Oh, no, no, no. That's a great question, but nope, we do not ride on the cows.
Great. And so while we're walking into the robot, if you want to talk about the different times of how some other farms might do milking during different times of the day and how that's a little bit different from the robots.
Okay. First of all, before I go in the robot room, as I'm walking in there, you're going to notice I'm going to wash my boots because it's very important for me to make sure that my robot rooms stay clean and I have very little dirt traffic that goes through, because it's very important to keep everybody clean. I'll wash Danielle off for her.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out to Danielle, our camera lady. Danielle is Deb's daughter and is helping us out today with the camera. She's doing a great job so far. So thanks so much, Danielle.
Yes, thank you very much, Danielle. Okay, we are in the robot rooms right now. And what makes, this so different than before, when we milked at home, we milked twice a day. We milked at 6 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. You try to keep it as close to 12 hours apart as we can. So they only milk twice a day. Here at the robots, and this is the one thing about dairy farming that is really interesting. You can dairy farm different ways and still get the same end product. What works for me may not work for you. So here at the Robots, these girls, like I had said earlier, they all get free choice. They have a choice to when they want to come in and get milk. If they don't come in within a 10-hour period, then that robot will send us an alarm that says we need to go get that cow and bring her to the robot. And typically those are my cows that are just learning the process, just fresh cows that have just had their baby, learning the process of being milked, or the ones that are getting ready to go on that vacation that I explained to you earlier today, and how they only milk 305 days out of the 365 days. So they're getting ready to go on vacation. So the robots will automatically take them off of pellets so that they don't want to come to the robots. And with that, I want to look here to see real quick. The robots will tell me what cow is being milked, how long it takes her to milk, how many pounds of milk she's giving, and how long each milk inflation has been on her milking quarter. They have to be away from the robot for at least 4 hours. They have to be able to give at least 15 pounds of milk. And if they're not, the robot will just open up the front gate and allow them to walk out. And they may circle, the next robot, they may circle again until their 4 hours are up. And we know that they can milk that 15 pounds of milk. This girl's just now finishing up and another one will come in, but I took this robot out of order just for a second so that I can show you when I talk about inflation cups, I'm talking about these white cylinders with the red on them. And these are inflation cups. These are what attaches to the teat of the cow. And it gives a small pulsation inside. So it squeezes and it pulls down so that it extracts that milk out of the udder of the cow. There's also a little window screen on here where my laser's at, and I wipe that off and wash that twice a day. Now it gets sprayed in between every cow also, but when I come in, I make sure it's free and clear of any dirt.
So Deb, we have a couple of questions about the robots. Why did you guys start using robots, and do the cows like it better than another machine, or if you did it by hand?
Okay. Why did we start using the robot was because of the labor expense, and trying to find somebody to come milk cows in the parlor in the evenings was getting harder and harder to do. People don't want to do that job anymore. And so by putting the robots in, then that eliminated that expense. And it doesn't matter which robot the cow goes through, it's going to have the same protocol as far as the attachments and of the robot arm, the inflation cups. So all that attachment is the same. So that makes it easier on the cow, and they can come at their own leisure again.
And
Okay.
Tony and Isaac both want to make sure that they want to know if the milking hurts the cows, or if they ever get hurt when they go into the milking.
No, it does not hurt the cows at all. Actually, it makes them feel better. If you can ever imagine like the pressure of a water balloon, how when you put a bunch of water in a balloon and it stretches way out, you know it's going to burst. That's a lot of pressure. So by being milked, that relieves all that pressure on the udder, which makes the cow feel a lot better. So no, it doesn't hurt them at all.
And from Walkerton Elementary, the second graders want to know how much faster the robot milks the cow than a person.
Okay, that's a great question. The robots actually take on the average about 7 minutes in the box. And before, when we were milking at home, because the robots will take off 1 quarter at a time, they don't over milk a quarter. And at home, we didn't have that option. So if I had a quarter on a cow that took 10 minutes to milk and the other 2 or 3 took 6 minutes to milk, I was leaving that milker on for the whole entire time, which was not good for the other 3/4. So here it pulls it off as they need it to be pulled off as each quarter of milk is finished.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Deb.
I have a cow getting ready to come in. Now, I'm going to explain this to you real quick. If she's going to be a drive-by, she didn't meet the criteria. She hasn't been away from the robots long enough. So I got another one getting ready to come in, though.
Are some of the cows afraid of the robots? That question's from David at Pipe Elementary.
When they first start, yes, they're a little intimidated. That's why we keep them in that back pen over there until they get good and acclimated to the robot. Okay, what you noticed right there, the first was a brush that goes in. And what that brush is doing is knocking off all of the dirt before, and then it's going to come out and it's going to sanitize, and it's massaging the udder also, getting it ready to let her drop that milk and let that milk come down so that we can extract it. Now it's washing. And all that did there was sanitize. So it's like putting soap on the brushes to clean, and you'll hear a puff of air. That just dried that quarter. And it does it for each individual quarter. So it sanitizes each one. Okay, you're going to see the brushes come out. Now you're going to see a red laser, and that's looking for the teat placement. Found it. Now it's going to connect every inflation to the teat. The first 3 to 5 droplets of milk is tested to make sure that it meets the criteria of good quality milk and there's nothing in it. Then it will, the brushes will wash again and be prepared for the next cow.
Nathan from Lincoln was wondering if the water that cleans the teats is warm or cold.
That is a warm water. And now you'll see that the milk is flowing into the weigh jar. And each cow is, their milk is weighed every milking that they come in. And it just, these collars just give us so much data that makes us better managers of the cows. What makes the cow come in? Cows are fed a pellet. And what this is it's real sweet. It's high energy for them. And they want to come in and get that pellet. So they get so much of this a day, pound-wise. And once they get further in their lactation, which means they're getting ready to have that baby, the robots automatically pull that back so they can come to the robot, but they're not going to get any feed. So they just leave the robots. Because we want them to slowly, on their own, to slowly stop making milk so that the dry up process is a lot easier on them.
We have had a question if cows can get the coronavirus, and I know from our friends at the Board of Animal Health and our state veterinarians, there is no evidence at this point that the cows can get coronavirus, but I know, Deb, you guys and your family are doing a lot to socially distance and stay safe at the farm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we are. It's very important to us, like I said earlier, to make sure that we keep everything good and clean. We practice safe distancing. We practice our hand washings so that we keep everything ourselves clean.
There's a lot of cleaning that goes on a dairy farm, so I know you guys are really good at washing your hands at this point.
Yes, we are. Okay, I want to look here at this cow real quick because she's up to 22 pounds of milk. the average gallon of milk weighs 8.6 ounces.
Pounds.
Or pounds, I'm sorry, 8.6 pounds. So she's milked almost 3 gallons of milk. Let's show you what that looks like inside here. Now I have had cows that fill this weigh jar up, and it'll have to empty out and then continue to fill up some more. And this weigh jar will hold 60 pounds of milk. So there are cows that milk 70 pounds at one milking. Unbelievable. That's about the size of a third grader. Now,
Wow.
if by chance our cow was sick or something and the milk didn't meet the standards of going into the bulk tank, it would be pumped back to these buckets back here where we would, we've got 4 buckets. Each robot has 4 buckets, and that's where the milk would go so that we can dispose of it properly. Now, after the cow is milked, then she gets sprayed with some iodine, and all iodine is a soap that stays on her and helps keep her clean while the
So Deb, you might be able to show us this later, but Jordan from Brandywine Heights Elementary wants to know, where does the milk go after it leaves the robot?
Okay, hang on, give me just a minute, because where the milk goes?
Correct.
Okay, well, follow me. Let's go out here and I'll show you where the milk goes. So once the gets pumped out of the weigh jar, it is sent down to my bulk tank room. And then milk comes out of the cow at around 101 degrees. So this silver milk line that you see up here, this is where the milk comes from after the bulk tank. It goes through this plate cooler, and that is cooled with ground temperature water, which cools our milk down to 47 degrees. And then it's pumped over to the big bulk tank over here. So my big bulk tank, this is only a portion of it that you see here, is 55,000 pounds of milk, which would be 6,400 gallons of milk it holds. Our milkman comes every other day to empty this, but the robots don't shut off during the time that he empties it and it needs to wash. So we have a 500-gallon nurser tank here, a vertical one, and the milk would go in there until the bulk tank has completed its wash cycle, where it kicks it right over to the bulk tank. You can see there's condensation on here. That's just how cold that milk is, because the milk then is cooled down to 37 degrees Fahrenheit.
We've had a couple people ask if the milk gets pasteurized or if you guys drink it just straight from the farm like that. And how long does it take to get from your dairy to the grocery store?
From our dairy to the grocery store is probably about 48 hours from the time it leaves the cow to the time it gets to the dairies. The one thing about milk is it is tested here at the dairy farm. They take a sample of milk, they test it when they get to the dairy suppliers, again, to make sure that it's good quality milk. And if it's not, then they can't accept it. So you always want to make sure you have great quality in your milk and it's never touched by human hands.
Very cool.
So all of the water that goes, though, we use in the plate cooler to cool our milk, we actually don't just let that go right down the drain. We actually, here at Superior Dairy, have a holding tank, and I showed you the social areas out there where they drink their water, but we have a holding tank back here in the corner, and we'll kind of peek around this corner, and that is what we use to supply the water to our cows out in their social areas.
Well, that's great to know too. We know that we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Earth Day this week. So to hear about all of the recycling and reusing that you guys do on the farm is great to hear.
Yes, yes. We as stewards of the land need to take good care of our land. Our grandfathers, we inherited it from, and they expected us to leave it in better shape than what they gave it to us. So that is a good practice that we continue to do. Um, just real quick though, I have my office downstairs here that has my computer in it, and my computer tells me, oh, let's see here, tells me how many pounds of milk a day the cows are giving. And today is 87 pounds, which is basically 10 gallons of milk every day per cow per day. That is our average. And our average here is that they're going to be milked 3 times today. I do have cows that are being milked 6 times a day, but that just depends on their production. My highest, and I never thought I would see this, but the highest pound cows is 42,000 pounds of milk in her lactation in 305 days.
That's incredible.
I know,
Absolutely
I never
incredible.
thought I would see that. We
Well,
have any other?
we've had some great questions come through. Yeah, thanks a lot to everybody who's been asking questions. We're trying to get to as many as we can. If you just want to give us a little bit of history on your family and why you guys started the farm, and if you enjoy working on the farm, do you work a lot with family, or do you have other employees that work with you guys?
We have just a few employees that work for us. When we went from the parlor to, which parlor is just where we milked 8 cows at a time. But when we transitioned 2 years ago from the parlor into the robot room, we did not have to lay off anybody. We kept all of our employees. We just shifted their jobs. So if they were a full-time milker, they might be a full-time calf person now. So we just shifted their jobs around so that we didn't have to lose anybody, because we know how valuable they are to us and our families. Like I said in the beginning, there are 7 of us that own and operate here, and we're a 7th generation. I have a couple grandkids that I'm hoping someday we'll be able to, they show interest now, but that can change. But they would be interested in coming into the dairy and letting it grow from there, given the opportunities to do that.
That sounds awesome. Having it's really a family owned and operated farm. And do you know how far away your milk gets delivered, or how far out it gets spread?
I don't know how far out from the dairy that it goes to, but our milk right now is going to Huntington, or it can go to Goshen. We are members of DFA, which is Dairy Farmers of America. And so they transport that milk to wherever is needed at that time. So, but most of ours stays here pretty local.
And I know we've had a couple questions too. If people want to drink your milk or milk from Indiana Farms, you can actually look on your milk jug gallon, and there's a state code on there, and the state of Indiana is number 18. So it'll be up by the expiration date on your milk jug, so you can see just where your milk came from.
Yes.
We also have a family resources page on our website, where we have a ton of information, some fun activities. We have a really, Deb, I don't know if Juno is running at this point in time, but we can ask some questions, and if you want to head back out there to see what she's doing. If you guys
we're
remember,
gonna walk right up there.
and we do, Kason from Lincoln was interested to know if you guys have a dog on the farm. Any dogs or cats?
No, we do not have a dog. Got cats, but no dogs.
There's plenty of animals on the farm. That's great.
A lot of times when the cows get done milking, they'll come right to the drinking holes and drink from their drinkers to replenish their bodies from the milk that they just extracted.
We did have a question about the warm water versus the cold water. What temperature is that water that the cows like to drink, Deb?
About 101. It's easier for them to digest that warmer water than it is cold water. It looks like we might have missed Juno running. Is there any other questions we got going on?
We did get a question earlier about how large is your guys' barn?
I got to think here a minute. I know the answer to this. I want to say it's 300 feet long and 200 feet wide. There's 252 free stalls in it. The barn will hold that many.
That's actually a great timing because Thomas from Lincoln just asked what the maximum amount of cows allowed in the barn is.
Yeah, 252 is what it will hold. That's what we have beds for. You can actually go 10% over that because obviously you do not have every cow laying down at the same time. But what's interesting is cows, I talked earlier a little bit about their routine. I do have a few cows that lay in the same stall every day. And if we get a new cow in and say a heifer goes to lay down in that stall, that cow will stand behind her and just kind of like nudge her with her head until she gets up and moves. And then that cow will lay down in her stall. So they kind of have their own little pecking order, per se. And they have their favorite spots in the barn, that's for sure.
We have another question from Melvin. What kind of differences did you see in your cows when you switched over to the robots from the regular parlor?
That's a great question. We've seen a lot more of them being comfortable, and our milk production actually went up 10% within the first 2 weeks.
Wow, that's incredible. Quick changes.
Yeah, it was. They transitioned very, very well.
Very, very cool. Well, just wanted to give everyone a reminder, if you ever have any questions about farming, to seek out a farmer like Deb and her family. They're always happy to answer your questions. If you have a question, ask a farmer, not Google. Or you can also visit our website. It's winnersdrinkmilk.com. We have our virtual farm tour opportunities for teachers throughout the year. We're very excited to do this special Facebook Live with you guys. We're so grateful for Deb and Danielle and your family spending time with us today. We'll try to get some questions answered in the comments as well if it wasn't answered live. So Deb, if there's anything that you want people to know about dairy farmers or dairy cows or dairy farming, what would that be?
I would say that dairy farming is a way of life, and some people it's not their way of life, and other people can't get enough of being in the country and being around animals that are so kind. I would also, Allie, at this time, would like to send a huge thank you and shout out to all the American farmers out there that do this job day in and day out, that go unrecognized in feeding America. I would like to thank Indiana State Dairy Association for your time and effort in putting this together. I know in April is the month that our schools here at DeKalb County go and do a farm tour, and they were unable to do that this year. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity to put all this together so that they can see and live somewhat of the lifestyle that we live on the dairy farm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Deb. Again, our website is winnersdrinkmilk.com. You can find this recording of the virtual farm tour as well as our family resources page full of activities and fun information for you guys to stay busy and keep learning at home. We're so grateful for you spending time with us today. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know. We will hope to have more virtual farm tours in the future, so please follow us at our Facebook page. We are also on Instagram and Twitter at INDairy. We look forward to seeing you all around. Thanks so much.
Thank you.